Something felt off, and no, it wasn't some over-the-top movie moment. It started quietly, at home, the way these stories actually begin. No dramatic fall, no screaming alarms, just that sharp, almost instinctive awareness of a woman who has already battled cancer once and now listens to her body on a completely different level than anyone who hasn't lived through that nightmare. Simone Smith, the wife of one of hip-hop's most iconic legends, knew something wasn't right. And LL Cool J, aka James Todd Smith, the man who boldly branded himself Ladies Love Cool James and spent 4 decades proving it, did exactly what you'd expect when things get real. He didn't hesitate. He moved. No panic freeze, no denial phase, no pretending everything was fine. He got her to the hospital immediately, because when it's the person you've built your entire world around, you don't overthink, you act. And then came the gut punch. Doctors confirmed Simone Smith's bone cancer was back. Not just bad news, this was history repeating itself. Something they had already fought side by side, already survived, already believed was behind them for good. But here's the harsh truth nobody likes to romanticize: sometimes cancer comes back. Beating it once doesn't mean the war is over. Back in 2004, just 2 years into their marriage, Simone had been diagnosed with chondrosarcoma in her right tibia. She fought hard. She won. And afterward, she turned her pain into purpose, becoming a voice for other survivors, raising awareness, speaking out, and using her platform for something that actually mattered. And now, more than 20 years later, the disease found its way back. Doctors confirmed it. No time to waste, emergency surgery was needed, immediately. Simone went into surgery while her husband, her children, and countless supporters who had followed her journey held their breath in that agonizing, helpless silence only waiting rooms know too well. Then, from a hospital bed, she broke that silence with something simple: an Instagram post. A picture. A caption: treasure the little joys. Not defeat. Not fake positivity. Just real, earned wisdom from someone who's been fighting this battle for 2 decades. She didn't sugarcoat anything either. She addressed the situation with the same raw honesty she's always had about her health. Doctors are monitoring everything closely, and thankfully, she said, it's still early and not as severe as before. And then came the part no one wants to hear, the messy, uncomfortable truth. Part of her cancer is actually responding to treatment, and part of it, not so much. In fact, some of it is still progressing. Yeah, not exactly the clean, heroic storyline people love to post about. This is the real version of cancer recurrence: no neat fight and win arc, no polished ending, just a body caught in a complicated battle where some treatments are working and others clearly aren't, while doctors and patient are stuck figuring it out in real time. So what's next? According to her, it's back to chemotherapy, the same grueling process she went through more than 20 years ago, this time with a newer drug added into the mix, something the medical team hopes will surprise the tumor. And honestly, that phrasing, very on brand for her: straightforward, slightly dry, no melodrama, no self-pity, and definitely no surrender. Meanwhile, LL Cool J is exactly where you'd expect him to be, right there. Always has been. From their teenage days in Queens, to marriage, to her first diagnosis, to survival, to every career high and personal low that comes with more than 40 years together, he's been there through all of it. And he's still there now, showing up in the one way that actually matters. Because somewhere early on, he clearly figured out that the most important role he'd ever have isn't on stage or screen, it's being present for her. And that's why this moment isn't just about illness. It's about love, loyalty, and a kind of long-term partnership that's rare not just in the music industry, but anywhere. To really get it, though, you have to understand who LL Cool J actually is and where he came from. Born James Todd Smith on January 14, 1968, in Bayshore, New York, he grew up mainly in the St. Albans section of Queens, a place that's basically a talent factory, producing legends from Count Basie and Ella Fitzgerald to Run DMC and Jay-Z. It's the kind of neighborhood that shapes icons, rich in culture, grounded in working-class realities, far enough from Manhattan to develop its own identity, but close enough to stay plugged into the bigger scene. But let's not romanticize it, his early life wasn't easy. His parents, James Lewis Smith Sr. and Andrea Griffith, split when he was young, and the environment he grew up in was marked by serious violence. His father shot both of his grandparents, an event that didn't just shock the moment but shaped how he understood the world from that point forward. Not just as trauma, but as something that defined how he saw safety, love, and who he wanted to become in response. His grandfather, Eugene Griffith, survived that shooting and became a major stabilizing force in his life, the kind of figure every story like this needs. He provided emotional grounding and, just as importantly, the support that helped nurture his early talent. By age 9, James had DJ equipment, and from there, the direction of his life was basically set, even if the outcome wasn't clear yet. Music wasn't just an interest, it was the path. He started writing rap lyrics as a kid and kept sharpening his skills through his teenage years, right as hip-hop itself was being created in real time in New York. And here's the thing, he wasn't just talented, although he absolutely was. He had a natural feel for rhythm and language that put him ahead of most. But more than that, he was smart about it. He understood early that talent alone doesn't guarantee success, you need strategy, business sense, and industry awareness. And he built all of that too. Which is exactly why his entry into the professional music world ended up being one of the most remarkable origin stories in early hip-hop history. Picture this, a 13-year-old kid, no fear, no filter, just pure ambition, recording rough homemade demos and blasting them out to radio stations and record labels like rejection wasn't even a concept yet. Because honestly, he hadn't learned to fear it. And yeah, the rejections came. Again and again. But he didn't stop. He kept sending those tapes until one finally landed in the hands of Rick Rubin, a 19-year-old NYU student casually building a label out of his dorm room that would later shake the entire music industry, Def Jam Recordings. Rubin listened, and unlike everyone else, he actually heard something worth paying attention to. So what did he do? He took LL Cool J straight to Russell Simmons, who was stepping in as the business brain behind Def Jam. Together, they signed the teenager to what would become the label's very first official release. I Need a Beat dropped in 1984, and just like that, it all started. He was only 16. And the track? Raw, high energy, and way too polished for someone that young. It proved he had a flow and delivery most grown artists couldn't touch. At a time when hip-hop itself was still figuring out its identity, audiences were hooked on exactly what he brought: confidence, intelligence, and undeniable presence. Then came his debut album Radio in November 1985, and suddenly, that first impression wasn't just confirmed, it exploded. This wasn't just another album, it was a statement. One of the first hip-hop projects fully produced by a single producer, Rick Rubin, and one of the earliest to prove that rap albums could dominate both commercially and artistically. From there, the career only leveled up. Consistent, evolving, and somehow always relevant across 4 decades. Bigger and Deffer in 1987 gave us I Need Love, one of the first real love songs in hip-hop. Yeah, he went there, breaking through the genre's tough guy image to show vulnerability. Then Mama Said Knock You Out in 1990. That was a full-on comeback moment, aggressive, unapologetic, and a reminder that he wasn't going anywhere. Then came Mr. Smith in 1995, Phenomenon in 1997, and the hits just kept stacking. The longevity. Unreal. #1 albums across multiple decades, something barely any artist in any genre can claim. Over 100 million records sold worldwide. Let that sink in, and in 2022, the industry finally stamped it officially. He received the Recording Academy Lifetime Achievement Award, recognizing a career that didn't just succeed but helped shape the global dominance of hip-hop itself. But let's be real, his impact wasn't just about music. It was also about image. From day one, LL Cool J wasn't like the others. He combined physical power with charisma in a way that created a whole new blueprint for masculinity in hip-hop. Bigger presence, stronger physique, and fully aware of how that translated on stage and on screen. He didn't just perform, he branded himself. And that mix of street credibility and physical discipline. It became the standard. Decades later, artists are still chasing that formula. And he didn't just set it, he maintained it. His workout routines, his discipline, his consistency, they've all been studied, copied, and admired. Because for him, staying at that level was never a phase, it was a daily commitment, no shortcuts, no excuses. The guy who built an entire image around strength, discipline, and peak physical condition is living a reality where none of that can shield the person he loves most. That's the irony sitting quietly underneath everything. LL Cool J, a man who turned fitness into part of his identity, is standing beside A wife whose body has been battling cancer for over 2 decades. And he knows it. He's even said it himself, being in shape, being strong, all of that matters, but it doesn't make you immune to what's happening inside the body. It doesn't stop this. And while all of that is unfolding in his personal life, his professional life took a turn that almost looked effortless. The shift from music to acting. Smooth. Natural. Honestly, expected. The camera was already on his side, and the emotional depth he showed in his music translated into something Hollywood immediately picked up on. This wasn't a random crossover, it was a second career building itself in real time. From The Hard Way in 1991 to Halloween H20 in 1998, Any Given Sunday and Deep Blue Sea in 1999, then Rollerball in 2002 and Mindhunters in 2004, he showed range, even if the roles didn't always push him to his limits. Most of those characters leaned into what he already had: presence, authority, and that natural likability that makes audiences stay with you. But let's be honest, film wasn't where he fully locked in. Television was. In 2009, he stepped into NCIS, Los Angeles, and didn't just appear, he stayed. 15 seasons deep, playing Sam Hanna, and still going strong. That's not luck, that's consistency. That's proving you can carry a character over years, not just minutes. The show held its ground in a brutally competitive primetime space, and his performance kept getting the same feedback: reliable, solid, believable. Because he brought exactly what the role needed: physical credibility for the action, and enough emotional weight to keep the character real across long story arcs, and it didn't stop there. Hosting gigs, award shows, major events, he stepped into those roles like he'd been doing them forever. The Grammys? Hosted multiple times, completely at ease, like the stage belonged to him. No awkward energy, no forced charm, just control, presence, and experience doing the talking. Now here's where the story circles back to something deeper. Simone wasn't someone who showed up after the fame, after the money, after the spotlight. She was there before all of it. Simone Johnson, long before she became Simone Smith, knew James Todd Smith when he was just another kid in Queens, before the name LL Cool J meant anything to the world. Their connection wasn't built in the chaos of celebrity, it started in normal life, in the same neighborhood, the same environment, before success complicated everything. They met as teenagers. And while he was transforming into a global icon, she was right there, watching it happen in real time, not as a fan, not as someone drawn in by fame, but as someone who knew who he was before any of that existed. That kind of foundation. It's different. It's not built on image or status, it's built on knowing the real person underneath it all. After everything they've already been through, this is the part no one prepares you for: the comeback of something you thought was gone. Simone Smith is fighting again. The cancer she pushed into remission decades ago has returned, and this time it's complicated. Some of it is responding to treatment, and some of it isn't. Doctors are trying a new approach, hoping this next move finally shifts the balance. And Simone. She's not pretending, not breaking, not hiding. She's facing it head-on with the same honesty and resilience that carried her before. She's still finding strength in the smallest moments, still choosing to focus on what remains instead of what's uncertain. That quiet mindset, treasuring the little joys, isn't weakness, it's survival. And standing right beside her, as always, is LL Cool J. No performance, no spotlight, just presence. Real, consistent, unwavering presence, because after 40 years, this isn't about fame, music, or legacy. It's about showing up when it matters most. It's about staying when things get hard. And now the question is, how does this chapter end? If this story moved you, drop your thoughts below, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that go beyond the headlines.